Member of this committee, Adam Gomez.
Likewise, I'm a member of the Finance Committee, Tim Allen.
I think I see
City Councilor Ward 6.
Councilor Hurst.
Councilor Davila.
City Councilor Ward 6, Victor Davila.
I think that's all the counselors we have on for right now.
That's all I can see.
Okay. And then we have, is that TJ in the city council chamber?
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, we got TJ Lindsay. We got TJ Lindsay, Pat, and Tim Brown, and Melanie.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for
Hello.
joining.
Hello.
Sorry, we're a little late. Okay, Tim, can you go through the financial orders one by one?
Sure. The first one is the September revenue versus expenditure report. Pat, you want to give us an update on that?
Sure. The major item on this report that the city and the school department agreed upon a net school spending carryover figure. So you'll notice the budget is increased by 14.8 million. This amount is money that was left over in the FY20 budget that by state law we're mandated to appropriate within the school budget once we have determined the amount, and the city and school has agreed upon this amount. And this will go a long way helping the school with the reduction in the original governor's budget for this current fiscal year.
So Pat, does that show in the revised, where does that show? The 742 million? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes. So it's its own revenue line item, and then it's appropriated within the education line item on the report.
So that was around 728. It's gone up to 742. And that 14 million plus needs to be utilized in this fiscal year by the school department?
If it's not, it will just roll forward again to next year. But I believe they're banking on this money to help balance their books for this year.
Are their books not balanced, Pat? Are the school department books not balanced currently?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Currently, we're going to have to put an order in front of the council at some point after the school committee deliberates to reduce the school budget to reflect the governor's budget in order to set the tax rate, because right now our budget is out of balance by that amount.
So the school department, Madam Chair, if you want me to explain all this. So the school department assumed the governor's number back in January before the pandemic hit. Since the state was losing revenue like every other government municipality, the House and Senate and the governor's office agreed to level fund local aid and then to level fund Chapter 70 plus a cost of living or CPI that they're increasing it by. So there's been an overall reduction to the school department's budget that will need to be ultimately voted on by the city council once the budget is finalized by both the House, the Senate, and the governor, and also approved by the school committee. What Pat Burns is talking about is the net school spending carryover, that this is money they did not spend during fiscal year 20 that they need to have carried over in order to help them address the budget reductions they will ultimately face based upon the change in the governor's number and the House number, Senate number. They funded the Student Opportunity Act in the January budget bill from the governor. They can no longer afford to fund the Student Opportunity Act, so they just did the level funding plus CPI.
Thank you, TJ.
Any other questions on the revenue versus expenditure report?
I do, if I may.
Sure.
Thank you. Good evening, gentlemen. TJ, Pat. Just have a good question on the revenue side. I was just looking over at the detailed what you call it here, the statement that you guys gave us, and I noticed that the motor vehicle excise tax is significantly under collection, and also the penalties and interest. Is that where we're supposed to be, or is that any particular explanation?
With the motor vehicle excise, the major commitment, which is the bill that goes out to all of the owners of vehicles, goes out in February and it's due in March. So you'll see an influx of revenue in that period. The commitment last year, I believe, was close to 9 million. So that's seasonally when that comes in. So that's when we're counting on that money coming in. And in terms of the interest and penalties, the big thing there is the 121A payment from the casino, and that doesn't come in until one payment comes in April and the last payment comes in actually on June 30th. So
So both of these are reflecting future payments then, right?
correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Pat.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Tracy, you all set with it?
All set.
Okay, thanks. Next one.
I'm sorry, I do have a quick question. Sorry, I apologize. And I couldn't raise my hand. Quick question for the pay-as-you-go capital account. What accounted for that $575,426 for this month?
I can
Under
give you a breakdown
expenditures.
of the expenses. I don't have them handy with me now.
Okay, it's a series of transactions?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Can you send that to me at some point in time, please? That'd be
Definitely. I'll
great.
send it tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody. Unless anybody has another one, Pat, we're all set with that. Thank you, Pat. The next item, second item is Coronavirus Relief Fund, second award, no match, $7,171,000 and more, almost $172,000.
So I'll start with the answer, and then the specific questions, I'll let Melanie, the grants director, answer them as being the point person. So from the federal government through the state, the city was allocated $13.6 million for fiscal year 20 and fiscal year 2021 that we submitted for $6 million, and now we're submitting for the remaining balance of $7.1 million. These funds have to be spent by December 30th. This is money primarily has been used for laptops for our students, but used for the tent that we set up when we needed to have the tent set up for the homeless population, for a variety of these sources. We have food service for our seniors, for our elders. We have food service and all these different costs that the PPE that first responders need, the equipment that we're putting in all the schools, the OptiCleans, the iWaves, all that stuff. So we're taking care of all that for all city and school buildings. I don't know, Melanie, if you want to get into some of the details as it relates to the first allocation as opposed to the second allocation, but also our funding strategy with FEMA to maximize these grant dollars.
Sure, you pretty much covered the most of the expenses covered. The other thing to make a note of is we're currently waiting for a response from FEMA on COVID-related expenses that FEMA would cover. So the difference between FEMA and CARES Act is FEMA usually covers for anything that's directly related to the actual response to COVID. So like police officers having to do response to it, PPE supplies. So they cover for that, whereas the other things that are indirect causes of COVID, like the accelerated learning, us having to do kind of like workspace changes in the offices, that's covered by CARES. And so the other thing that CARES is going to cover, which is great, is FEMA requires whenever they award you funds that the city matches whatever the request is, 25% of that. So instead of us using city funds to do that match, CARES is actually allowing us to utilize the funds that we've been awarded for the match of whatever we get awarded through FEMA. We're still waiting. We submitted 2 applications already for expenses from the beginning of March through mid-September. And unfortunately, because of the volume of applications that they're receiving, it's still pending the application status. So we don't know yet what they're going to fund, but as for CARES, this is the entire allocation amount that we were eligible for. With this second amount that we just got awarded, we have the full amount now.
Thank you. I could ask you a question. Is this so when you say we have the full amount now, this is the second award. So out of 13 million, we already received 6 million a few months ago and 7 million now.
Correct.
And the key part for this is we have to spend it all by December 30th, otherwise it goes back to the state.
Right. That's the challenge right now, is to make sure that the expenses that are used from now until December 30th are the CARES eligible expenses and are spent by then. Unfortunately, according to this act, COVID ends on December 30th, so we can't utilize the funds to reimburse any costs past that date at this point.
Do you see that as a problem? Are we going to be able to use the 13 million just, in a valid manner, or?
So the strategies we have and plans we have to use it all. We don't intend to get any back to the Commonwealth. However, we're requesting of the federal government more time to spend this allocation in addition to additional stimulus, because I'd rather be more strategic rather than spending it fast. But we know we don't intend to give much, if anything, back to the Commonwealth.
And there seems to be a lot of pressure from other cities and towns from all the meetings I've been involved with MMA having very similar situations. So the hope is that there will be an extension to the expiration date.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions from the council?
Yes, is there a list of eligible expense that we could take a look at?
Yeah, absolutely. I can send it to you. It's straight from the application. I can send it to you through email.
Thank you.
Nope.
That's also part of what I think we're discussing tomorrow as part of the CARES and the other stuff that's on your agenda for tomorrow night as well. So we'll have that available for one for tomorrow's meeting as well.
Perfect. So I'll wait till then.
Okay.
All right. Councilor Davila, anything?
Yes, thank you, Councilor Allen. Thank you, Melanie, for the presentation. Will you CC me on that information on eligible expenses as well, please?
Absolutely.
And a quick question, might be related to this CARES Act money, but as we know, we are spiking, and to paraphrase the words of the commissioner, we are a housing fire.
Yeah.
I know there has been some throughout the state, the opening new hospitals, new temporary hospitals. In the past, we opened a tent here, which wasn't as busy as we expected, but is that money will be possibly qualify if we should need to use it for that purpose to open?
So if we do need, Councilor, if we do need to stand up another tent or other site for vulnerable population, or for that we just have overflow, it will be eligible either through FEMA and/or CARES. So we're going to keep an eye on that. Hope is we don't need to, but we'll be ready to do it if necessary.
All right. And now, TJ, I believe, refresh my memory on the press announcement from the governor. They say they're going to have those hospitals throughout the state. I don't recall seeing us in that list. Is that correct?
I have not seen Springfield. I've only seen Worcester and east of Worcester.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if we need them, but we'll be in close contact with the Commonwealth and the appropriate state agencies.
Okay. All right. Thank you, TJ. Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you. Councilor Gomez, anything?
No, not at all. I'm just listening and learning. You guys are asking.
Okay, thank President Hurst, anything? Okay. Not hearing from Justin.
Nope. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Do you have any questions on
No,
this?
I did not have anything. Thank you.
All right, great. There's another part to this that says round 2 grant setup form and award letter. Is there anything to talk about there, or is that just an administrative thing?
That's the administrative paperwork for comptrollers when they set it up. It's all part of the same.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, item 3 is DOER grant acceptance for facilities match needed, $200,000. A is parks, a CAFO parks grant, it looks like, and then something else. Can somebody give us the detail on this?
So the Department of Energy Resources for Green Communities Division has awarded us $200,000 to do a boiler replacement at the Facilities Department headquarters at Allen Street. And the match is actually $450,000. It's a little more steep than we wanted to, but the boiler replacement is absolutely necessary. And so we're going to match it most likely through unexpended bond proceeds for the ESCO project that we did in recent years, and the remaining balance from the pay-as-you-go capital.
What project was that? What project was that, DJ?
It was the ESCO. It was the energy savings
Okay.
project that we did 2 or 3 years ago. And so
And there's still some.
yeah, there's a little $200,000 for this exact purpose, which is boiler replacement, an energy efficiency project. So we're gonna probably allocate those funds plus a remaining balance from pay-go capital.
And there will still be short 250,000, right?
No, the 450 we'll meet it through those two combinations plus the 200,000 from. We'll have the full project of $650,000.
Okay, so ultimately it'd be 200 from the grant and 450 from sources.
From a variety of sources from the city. And the issue is that if you don't know, Allen Street as our other headquarters is where the data center is for the school department and where all of our facilities resources are. So we don't want them to go down and have any major boiler issues. So that was became a priority for us.
Is that so that's high on Pat's boiler replacement list, I take it, pretty high.
Correct.
Okay, questions from the council on that? Item 3? Not hearing any, okay. Moving on to item 4, DPW Recycling Dividends Program called the RDP. No match, 71,500. We're getting a grant for that amount.
Yep, so this is the Sustainable Materials Recovery Program, where the money goes from the sale of waste energy certificates for our recycling. So it provides payments to municipalities to do our maximize recycling and reuse.
Okay, does this help us at all with the recycling problem this year with $1 million, you know?
This does not, this is just from what we do recycle. The recycling thing this year is just a market issue that we ran into that costs us a fortune to dispose of recycling because there's no market for recycling anymore, or minimal market, I should say, no market, minimal market for recycling.
Right. Okay, questions? Anybody have questions on that? Okay, moving along. Item 5, order approving gift of $12,000 from an intergovernmental agreement with the Springfield Business Improvement District.
So hoping Brian Connors is on the call at 6:30 because he's the one that is more familiar with this. Tim Brown, feel free to chime in if I screw it up. This is a mass development grant that was originally going to the Business Improvement District. The person that was going to implement the plan moved away out of state, and so they had the money sitting there, and they decided that it would come to the City of Springfield's Economic Development Office to implement.
Do we still pay on our membership to the bid like 75 grand a year? I think it is.
We've increased it to 150,000 a year, and yes,
It's 150.
correct.
And are we caught up? There was a time a few years ago where we were running behind. Are we current?
I believe so. I'll just double check. I know Chris Russell wants to have a conversation in the coming weeks about the Business Improvement District.
Lindsay, I saw you nodding. Was that a yes? We're current?
The money is budgeted.
Whether they pay them, we'll have to double check.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I was watching you on Zoom, nod your head, so sorry. All right, next item, number 6, fiscal year 21, let's re-engage grant acceptance, $5,000. Re-engage grant, you're invited, re-engage grant is what it's called.
Yeah, this is a $5,000 grant from to the libraries from the Greater Springfield Senior Services for $5,000. It's to help bring seniors together, especially during the pandemic, to get the library materials and meals and other outreach to get seniors out of their house.
That's good. All right, libraries are still closed for a while, I take it. We're doing the curbside,
The curbside, correct.
which I've heard is pretty successful. All right, any questions? I don't mean to be going fast. Any questions for anybody on that grant? All right, number 7, there's 9 items on this agenda. We're on number 7, budget transfer within a department, 14,400, health and human.
Yeah, this transfer is from the salaries and wages line item due to vacancy savings into the OTPS line items to cover increased security requests from Helen Clinton Harris at her 311 State Street address. She's just looking for some more enhanced security in that location, and we said it makes a lot of sense, and so we just asked for a transfer.
So literally physical security.
Yeah, I believe it's the contracts with Jackson Security, and they wanted some more, some later runs. I don't want to say it's due to COVID per se, but they're definitely working longer hours, and so they wanted to have more security around for later hours in the evening to help folks get back to their vehicles and stuff.
Okay. Questions, anybody?
Yes, Councilor Allen, I just want to show that's for the 311 State Street location.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Item number 8, bill of prior year, Thomas J. O'Connor Center, $88.
We're looking for permission to spend this year's money for a bill with the New England Vet Center for $88.26.
Okay. And could you just speak on, well, are we about done with the bills of prior year, or can you not really tell when you're done?
I wish I could answer that honestly and say we're completely done, but they come in every once in a while that they've been sitting on someone's desk, they were never submitted by the vendor didn't receive payments, or they're resubmitting. I wish I could say we're done, but I like to have them done by the first fiscal quarter, just from a fiscal perspective, as I'd like to have them all done by October 1st, but they still come in dribs and drabs.
Okay. Any other questions on that from anybody? All right, number 9, which is the last item on the agenda that I see. We usually end up talking about stuff like this. This is an order approving a contract over 3 years for a lease purchase financing of IT department hardware.
Yeah, so sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so the IT department will be on if there's any technical questions this evening, but right now we're asking the city council to approve a 5-year lease for us to start doing a lease program for our computers. The concept is that you pay the lease annually and then they replace the computers as necessary. So you don't have to think about buying. So what we're doing now is buying a bunch of laptops, distributing them, maintaining them. They get broken. When you lease them, similar to what the school department does, is you lease the laptops for everybody, and as they get to their useful life, a year or 2, they get replaced automatically and just pay the lease price. Our hope is that we get on the same similar replacement schedule where we don't have to do a capital outlay every 3 years of $500,000 to $1 million, depending on the number of PCs that need to be replaced. As you guess, our goal is to basically move to almost all laptops, if not all laptops, due to the remote work situations that we find ourselves in, and not sure how long it's going to be.
So this hardware that you're referring to is all laptops?
It will ultimately be all laptops. So right now we have 370 desktop computers in the city, 212 laptops, 12 specialty desktop computers. We're hoping to enter into a 5-year agreement for a total of $736,000, which is $147,000 a year for 5 years. The goal is to have continuity in budget planning and having up-to-date equipment as we need it.
So, and this is City Hall. This is not school department. This is City Hall.
This is all city government that we want to make sure that we're on the replacement.
And who will be on at 6:30?
At least Bob Maggi, if not Bob Maggi and Andy Doty.
Okay. Councilor Whitfield, any questions on that or any other things?
No, I think you've done a great job, Tim. I appreciate you jumping in like this.
No problem. Anytime. President Hurst, anything?
No, I was just gonna say, you sound like you've done this before, Counselor Allen.
I have done it. Done it a few
I just
times.
I just want to remind everybody that we do have public speak out. The link is the same link that we're on, beginning at 6 o'clock, and we have at least 8 to 9 people who have signed up to speak. So we're going to try to start as close to on time as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Gomez, you're on the member of the committee. Do you have any final comments or anything?
No, I don't have any final comments. Just looking forward to supporting some of these agenda items on my side. But for the most part, a lot of the questions that I did have, you guys had asked them. So no questions at this moment. Thank you.
Hey, Counselor Davila.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. Just a quick question with item number 9, the 3-year lease. TJ, do we have a projected amount we're going to lease for?
A number of laptops and computers.
No, financial, the cost.
Oh yeah, $736,678 over 5 years, which equates to $147,335.60 each year.
And since you brought it up, how many laptops does that translate to?
Right now, it looks like it's going to be at least 500 laptops and/or specialty computers.
Okay. All right, thank you, TJ.
Chair, Counselor Whitfield, did you want to approve some of these? How do you want to handle the, making a motion? There's a couple, I think the only one we didn't really come to resolution on was the lease purchase financing, the last item. I think we came to a conclusion on the others. Or to what seemed like conclusion that there were no outstanding questions, but would you like to have us make a motion and vote, or you want to let it go to the committee, to the council meeting?
It can go to council.
Okay. All right. Unless there's any final questions or anything, good job, great explanations from the finance department and Pat and everybody. Good job all the way around. Good info, good questions. We'll see you in an hour.
Wow.
Thank you, everyone.
Everyone.
I appreciate it, especially you, Tim. Thank you.